Welcome back to In Business Talks to Networking Nuggets, the podcast where we unlock the secrets to building powerful professional connections. I'm Ian.
Hello, and I'm Tracey, and together we've been running dynamic and engaging events for almost 7 years, witnessing firsthand the incredible collaborations and lasting relationships that form when people come together. Whether online or face-to-face, our relaxed and informal networking events in Leeds, York, Harrogate, Wakefield and Wetherby are designed to create a no-pressure environment where meaningful connections can flourish.
In this episode, we'll share some of the most valuable insights we've gathered from our years of hosting these events. From unexpected partnerships to lifelong friendships, we've seen it all and can't wait to help you unlock the potential of your professional network. So, grab a cuppa, settle in and join us as we dive into another nugget of networking wisdom.
We're thrilled to have you with us on this journey. Whether you're a seasoned networker or you're just starting out, we promise you'll find something valuable in today's discussion. So let's get started and discover the magic that happens when business folk connect. In today's episode, we're diving into the heart of networking. That's making connections during the event. We've got tips to help you start conversations, build rapport and leave lasting impressions. So let's get started.
Okay, so what let's start with starting conversations then.
Yes.
Over to you then.
So we've managed to get ourselves there. It's not always easy, is it? The
Nope.
first event you go to and you've walked into the room. So now we've got to get over the first hurdle of starting a conversation. Can you tell us some effective strategies, Ian, for breaking the ice and why do they work?
Well, I mean, walking into a room that you've never walked into before with people you've never met before can be extremely daunting, as we know.
We know.
So one of the best ways to start a conversation, I think, is a simple, open-ended question. Something like, I don't know, what brought you to this event? Or maybe, what's been the highlight of your day so far?
That's
or
providing it's not at 6 o'clock
yeah,
in the
of course,
morning.
Yeah, it's not much of a highlight at that time. Or even something like, what interesting project are you working on at the moment? Just something like that. I'm sure you can come up with lots more, but ask open-ended questions. These questions are great because they invite the other person to share something about themselves. And if you ask closed questions, the conversation is very stilted and you're constantly restarting the conversation. And basically, it's hard work. Remember, you're looking to try and make the conversation engaging and interesting. You're also trying to find out as much about the person you're talking to as possible. To do this, make sure you ask open-ended questions that don't elicit single-word responses. And you know the ones: who, why, where, what and how, etc. Not so many why questions, as those can sound a bit like you're putting someone on the spot, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. A bit like an interrogation.
Yeah.
So absolutely. I mean, some people are naturally shy, but if you get them talking, especially talking about themselves, then they feel more comfortable. And of course, you're finding out more about them the more that they talk.
Yep.
It's a good idea to give compliments and make observations, because I know it just makes us feel good when we get a compliment, doesn't it? Somebody says, I like your shirt.
Particularly lovely today.
Oh, well, that's very kind of me. But yeah, if somebody says, I like your dress or your shirt or briefcase, whatever, it just makes you feel good. And you could always comment on what they're wearing, or if you follow them on LinkedIn, maybe remark about a post they've done recently. It just shows that you're keeping up with them and you're interested. You're showing a genuine interest.
Yeah. So it's all about active listening, I suppose. And once you've started a conversation, active listening is key. Tracey, why would you say that active listening is so crucial then in networking, and how would you go about it, do you think?
Well, it's about giving it your all, isn't it? Active listening is all about fully concentrating, understanding, responding, and then remembering what the other person's saying. That's sometimes hard.
It's difficult, yeah.
When you've got a memory like a goldfish, span of a goldfish. But it helps to build trust, and it shows that you value the other person's perspective. So simple techniques like nodding and summarising what they've said and asking follow-up questions can make a real difference.
Yeah.
So we've put together some suggestions for mastering the art of active and effective listening, and maybe the reasons why that they are important.
So okay, the first one is like maintaining eye contact, isn't it? That's important. Obviously, you've got to look at someone if you're having a conversation. So keep eye contact with the speaker, show that you are engaged and interested in what they have to say. And remember, with eye contact, don't be letting your eyes wander and get distracted and look over other people's shoulders. That's bad. That doesn't show you're listening at all. So make sure you maintain eye contact.
Yeah, it just helps to build that trust and rapport,
Yeah.
and it makes the person who's speaking feel valued.
Yeah,
you
of
know,
course.
like you say, if you're supposed to be talking to somebody and
You see their
you're
eyes,
looking over the
wonder,
shoulder,
yeah.
it's not good. Yeah.
Okay. And then avoid interruption. Now, gosh, I
Oh, you're
sometimes have
good
a
at
problem
this.
with this one. I have to really try hard on this one because
Yeah, you do.
my problem is I interrupt simply because if I don't get my question out there before they finish, I've forgotten what my question is. But I really do have to try hard with this one. But it really is important to let the speaker finish the thoughts without interrupting them.
Yeah.
And why is that important, Tracy?
Because it can make them
Apart from
feel
it annoys you.
make them feel disrespected, and it can interrupt their train of thought. So it just shows that you value their perspective, doesn't
That's
it?
an important one, is that don't interrupt.
Yeah.
And also think about the sort of the non-verbal cues, the body language. You can nod and smile and use other sort of non-verbal cues to show that you're listening.
Yeah, it signals that to the speaker that you're attentive and engaged again, and you're encouraging them to continue sharing.
Yeah, it's important. Open. And again, I know as we sort of just mentioned, asking open-ended questions. Try and ask questions that require more than a yes or no answer to encourage sort of like deeper conversation.
Yeah, open-ended questions show that you're interested in understanding more about the speaker's thoughts and feelings, and it also helps, with a more meaningful dialogue, I think.
Yeah. Another technique is to think about paraphrasing and reflecting. This is to sort of like summarise what the speaker said in your own words and then reflect it back to them.
Yeah, that ensures that you've understood them correctly, and it shows them that you're actively processing their message. I mean, there's been times when I've said something and somebody's repeated it back to me, and I'm thinking, that's not what I said.
Yeah.
So obviously it's my fault for not conveying the message properly.
In the first place.
They
often say it's the fault of the sender of the message rather than the receiver, don't they?
Yeah. So
another one is avoid distractions. Put away your phone and turn off your notifications and focus solely on the speaker. And again, don't be looking over the shoulder, but that's important. So turn off your phone and turn off your notifications and focus entirely on the speaker.
Yeah, if you minimise your distractions, it demonstrates that you're showing respect to the people in the room, and it allows you to fully concentrate on the conversation. There's nothing worse, is there? You go to a networking event and somebody's stood in the corner on the phone, and you think, hang on, don't you want to be here? You're not. It doesn't
or even
feel
while
like
you're having a conversation, somebody's looking down and trying to read a text or something like that. It just makes you feel so...
you feel worthless.
Worthless.
Absolutely worthless.
And another thing is trying to show a bit of empathy, I suppose. Acknowledge the speaker's emotions and respond with empathy, feel for them, I suppose. Is what I'm saying, isn't it?
It just helps you to build that deeper connection, and it makes them feel heard and understood on a more emotional level. By incorporating these tips into your listening habits, you can become a more effective and empathetic listener. So it enhances your relationships and your communication skills.
True. And of course, don't underestimate the power of body language. Maintaining eye contact, nodding and leaning slightly forward can all signal that you're fully engaged. It's all about making the other person feel heard and valued.
On that point where leaning slightly forward, don't get into somebody's personal space.
Yeah, be careful.
Yeah, that you don't overstep the mark and get right in the face.
Yeah, you don't have to be in the face. And lean slightly forward, not nose to nose would be a good idea. unless you're married to them or something. Okay, so let's talk about now work in the room. Tracey, how do you approach finding and connecting with key individuals then?
Ooh, work in the room. I'm not keen on that saying. It sounds a bit contrived, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But it's just about being strategic, I suppose. And it's always best to start by identifying the key people you want to meet. So I suppose, who are your ideal clients, or who in the room could introduce you to those ideal clients? So who would be strategic partners for you?
Yeah.
I suppose as an example of that, Ian, would be...
Oh, thanks for putting me on the spot there, Tracey. It could either be probably something like a copywriter who connects with a web designer, because obviously when you're creating a web design, people need copy for the website. So perhaps something like that would be a nice strategic partnership.
Yeah, because the website people could introduce the copywriter to their clients, couldn't they? So that's a good example of that.
And remember, it's not just about quantity; it's about quality. Aim to have meaningful conversations rather than just collecting business cards. I think we mentioned collecting business cards before. Don't do that if you can. A good connection is better than a dozen sort of like superficial ones. So make sure you have quality over quantities as best you can. So what are some of the strategies then we think we could use for effectively working the room of a networking event, Tracey?
I think maybe you set yourself some clear goals. I know we've mentioned this before.
It's important, though. It's important.
But it's all part of working the room. So before the event, set yourself some specific goals for what you want to achieve, such as meeting a certain number of people or connecting with individuals in a particular industry.
Yeah, and that's important, having clear goals. It helps you stay focused, and it ensures that you make the most of your time at the event, because time is precious, isn't it?
It is. Another good technique is to arrive early at the event, to take advantage of like the quieter atmosphere and have some more meaningful conversations with the other people who arrive early.
Yeah, I think this is a good one, is this one, especially if you're new to networking as well. If you get yourself there early, the majority of time, if you're there with one of the first people that are in the room, then other people come to you and start a conversation.
Yeah,
you're not having
arrive.
to wander around the room trying to instigate a conversation. As soon as people arrive, they start chatting to you. So make sure you're early if you can. You're often as well, you're a lot more relaxed and open to a conversation as well. You've not rushed into a room full of people.
Yeah, if you're a bit late, you're on the back foot and the room's full and you think, oh, God, who am I going to talk to
So you
here?
get to establish connections before it becomes crowded, in effect. Yeah. So a good tip is make sure you get there early if you're new to networking or worried about it.
Okay. Using open body language and maintaining open, approachable body language, such as having your arms uncrossed, having a friendly smile and making eye contact is another good way to help you when you work in the room.
Yeah. I mean, open body language makes you sort of appear more approachable and inviting, and encourages others to engage with you, and it makes you look confident as well.
Yeah. Preparing an elevator pitch is an obvious one, really. Again, it's something we touched upon in our last episode, but it's important to reiterate that when you work in the room, that you've got a concise and engaging elevator pitch ready to introduce yourself and explain what you do. It's essential, and it will
boost your confidence
help to
as
boost
well.
your confidence. So a well-prepared elevator pitch helps you make a strong first impression, and it quickly communicates your values to other people.
Yeah, and remember as well, another thing is listen actively. I know we've just spoken about this, but it is important, and it's important to focus on listening more than you're talking. Show genuine interest in others. Listen to what they're saying and ask thoughtful questions, and active listening builds rapport and trust and makes others feel valued and more likely to remember you in a positive manner, I would say.
When you're looking for people to talk to, then identify if there's any smaller groups or individuals that you can approach, especially if you're new to networking. It's easier to start a conversation. If there's one person stood on their own not talking to anybody, then they're the obvious person to go speak to. It might be harder until you get your confidence, until you get used to doing it, to approaching groups, because sometimes it is a bit more difficult.
Yeah, smaller groups of individuals and twos and threes maybe. And joining a group conversation allows you to meet multiple people at once, of course, if you do speak to two or three, but it can be a bit more daunting. But of course, once you start speaking to one or two people, it can lead to more dynamic and engaging interactions, I suppose.
Yeah, and last but not least, really, is following up promptly. After the event, follow up with people you've met by just sending them a little personalised message or connecting on LinkedIn, whatever.
Yeah. This is really important, isn't it? Because if you don't follow up, you've just wasted your time attending the whole event. Follow up, and the follow up reinforces the connection, and it shows that you're sort of serious about building a professional relationship as well. But more importantly, follow up, because if you don't, as we've said, you're just wasting your time. You might as well not network in effect.
No, you have wasted your time. Before we dive into our guest interview, let's give our listeners a quick challenge, and what's one actionable step that they can take right now to improve their networking skills during an event?
My challenge to you folks out there this week is to ask open-ended questions and practice active listening. It's a small step, but potentially could lead to some big opportunities.
Yeah, I think it will. That's good advice, Ian. Today's guest is Gareth Allen of Gap Coaching. Welcome, Gareth. Nice to see you.
Welcome, Gareth. Good to have you with us.
Great to see you.
Okay.
I thought you were going to recap the episode.
No, you're going to ask
what
he does.
Oh, okay. Then sorry, I thought. Told you that can be edited. I just thought I'd give Gareth an example there of how it can be edited. See?
Very good.
Yeah. So, Gareth, welcome, and I suppose we should start by asking you to tell us a little bit more about what you do.
Well, I am a business coach. That's the short version. But what I do is I help small business owners to grow their businesses. So help them to develop their plans, help them to bring those plans to fruition, give them a little bit of accountability in their lives. And we do that by, we got some various programs. We have one-to-one coaching programs. We have a group called Launchpad, which is for solopreneurs, which enables people who are working on their own to come together with other business owners and share their problems and get advice.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay, so far in this episode, Gareth, just to get you up to speed, we've been diving into the heart of networking and talking about making connections at the event. So we've given some tips on how to start conversations, how to build rapport, and how to leave a lasting impression. But when you first started networking, what were your biggest fears?
Well, I suppose the fears that everyone has walking into a room full of strangers, I think I first started networking when I used to work for Barclays Bank. And if I'm completely honest, the reason I started networking is because Barclays Bank made me. They sort of sent me on this. They sent me this 6:30 a.m. This 6:30 a.m. BNI meeting. They said, right, you got to go to this. And oh God Almighty, it's 6:30 in the Friday morning. That's awful. Oh my God, how is this going to be awful? And of course, it wasn't. I'm still a member of that group many years later. So I very quickly got it. I can see how this will benefit me and benefit the people that I work with. But yeah, I think that fear, to some extent, never really goes away. You think, oh gosh, I'm walking into this room full of strangers. What if no one speaks to me? What if I stick out like a sore thumb? What if I mess this up? All of those silly voices in your head. I've been doing this for nearly 20 years now, and those voices never really go away.
No, you're right, doesn't it? That's funny that you always, even though we do what we do, even now, when you have a room full of people you don't really know, or you have a room full of people, you still get that feeling in your stomach a little bit, that little, little butterflies, don't you? It's a weird sensation.
I think I should stress that, for the benefits of people listening, it doesn't happen. Like, it's fine. When you turn up and you get talking to someone, it's great. More often, 99% of the time, it's a great experience. And even the other 1%, it's just a bad day or something. It's not like everyone throws pastries at you and tells you to get out.
It's not like
Although,
that. Is it?
How much fun would that be?
Maybe we should incorporate food fights.
Yeah. I mean, we went to an event the other week, and before we even got through the door, you could hear the noise of the room, the sort of buzz that was going on, and it was like, I think I got that for a minute. I was like, deep breath, going.
Because I've definitely had that experience where you approach and you can hear the networking happening without you, and you sort of think, oh God, how am I going to fit into this? Everybody knows each other. Look, you can hear it all happening. Like I said, of course, it's not true. What I've found is that there will, my tactic is I make myself a cup of tea. So I go to the wall, make a cup of tea. I might start talking to someone while I'm there, but if not, you can kind of look around a little bit while you're waiting, while you're messing about with the tea bag. Right, there's someone there there's a couple of people there who look like they're ready to talk to someone. So you're kind of sizing up the room while you're making the brew.
Yeah. Good idea. Yeah.
Good tip, that one.
Sizing up the room's a good comment, because that's a good thing to do, isn't it? You got to know who to approach.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. I mean, you touched on this a little bit at the beginning when you said you had to go to networking events for Barclays. So what was the turning point, though, that made you realise the power of networking?
Yeah, I mean, I very quickly got it. Like I say, I went into that, it was a BNI meeting, as I say, and I enjoyed it.
Other networking event groups are available.
Well, I am still a member of BNI, but I am also a member of your excellent We Are in Business group. So,
I was a member of BNI for many years as well, so that's fine by me.
No, it does work. It does work. Anyway,
but the point is not really a point about BNI specifically. It's more a point about, I guess it goes back to that thing about the fear. You have that fear before you go in, but once you're up and running and it's rolling, you're like, oh, I see how this works. And of course, hopefully fairly quickly, you might get a piece of business, or you might be able to refer someone you're working with to someone else. You start to see how those connections are made. You start to see how it benefits you and your clients, and you sort of got the penny drops, the penny drops. You go, I understand now how networking works. Okay, it really does work. And I left Barclays Bank, well, it's 11 years ago now, to become self-employed. And honestly, I think without networking, I wouldn't have done that, because it was those networking events that I was going to that made me see, actually, if I give up my salary and take that leap of faith, I understand how I'm going to get business. This group of people, this network that I've built will sustain me. And well, 11 years later, it still has.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
No, networking is a powerful thing. A lot of people, I think, if they've never tried it, disregard it somehow. And it's silly, really, because it is about who you know, isn't it? It's not always what you know. It's about who you know as well that can help you. And it's support, isn't it? Support as well.
There's different, I mean, exactly. So it's not just about business acquisition. You could spend £100,000 on adverts and get business. I haven't got £100,000, but the point is, it is about business acquisition. Is it about getting leads and so on? But it's also about. It makes me a better coach. It makes me a better advisor to the businesses I'm working with because I have a network of professionals that I can recommend.
Yeah,
there's undoubtedly a social aspect to it as well. It's not just cold hard business acquisition. It's about, I work on my own. I work in an office on my own all day, and I've certainly noticed this during COVID when the world became a lot smaller. It was actually my business networks that helped me get through some of that time. It was like my staff room effectively. And, still is. When I go networking, you're always looking to meet new people, but there are friendly faces, there are familiar faces, people who can give you good advice, people who can just be good friends. That's all right. I think it's okay to admit that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Business friends. Yeah. Business friends are different than your social friends, aren't they, really? Because sometimes your social friends, if they've not run a business, then they don't always get it, do they? They don't always understand. So
I talk to people about having a mentor or having an accountability partner. You might not want to pay, you can pay me to do that, but you might not want to pay a coach to do that. You might have someone that you can work with. And often I'll say to people, look, it might be a friend or a family member, but pick wisely. I've got friends, I've got family members who I love dearly, but I wouldn't go to the business support. So we have different friends that provide different things.
Yeah. And from a social point of view as well, did people at BNI groups, because I still socialise now, even though I'm not in a BNI group, and they're not in BNI groups anymore, fully enough, but we still socialise and get together. We've got friends that meet from time to time and go out for a few beers and stuff like that. So there is, like I said, there is a nice social aspect. People become more than business associates. They do become friends in some cases, don't they, as well?
Yeah. And as I say, I think, I suppose if you were making a list of reasons to go networking, you have to say that the first reason is business acquisition. It's lead acquisition.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
That is ultimately why we're doing it, but it's not the only reason. And there are plenty of other fringe benefits.
Yeah. So obviously a seasoned networker like yourself, how do you handle then a situation when a conversation perhaps isn't going well? Have you ever had a conversation? Oh, this isn't going so good. How do I get out?
What do you mean by not going well? Do you mean it's flagging a little bit, or you're not getting on?
It's or perhaps
we'll go with flagging.
It's either flagging a bit, or maybe they're trying to sell to you. Because sometimes you get people who don't quite get networking and try and sell their product or service. Either of those situations, what might you do? Pick one.
Well, I think okay. So if the conversation's flagging a little bit, my watchword, I think this might be something you told me once actually, Ian, but I'm going to say it anyway. Be interested before being interesting. I really love that expression. So, my answer to your question is ask more questions. So, if things are flagging a little bit, it would be really easy for me to just fall back on, kind of keep talking, Gareth, keep telling them about your business, keep telling them about some funny story. I've got anecdotes. I can do that. I can fill a gap. I don't like silence. But actually, it's much more effective to ask some questions, find out more about them. I think ultimately, though, you're not necessarily going to have great chemistry with everybody. So it might be that you don't mesh. It might be someone's completely trying to sell to you. And I think it's always good to have a little, just a little tactic to sort of I want to say get away from people, but
that's true, isn't it? Sometimes you do
politely
need to
bring
get
a
away,
conversation. Politely bring a conversation to an end.
Yeah.
And let's carry on networking, because if you want to talk to lots of different people. So my top tip for you is refresh your drink. So whenever I'm making myself a cup of tea at a networking event, I only half fill the cup. so that I've basically always got an empty cup. so if things are flagging, I can just say, "Oh, it's been lovely to meet you. Really great to meet you. I'll link with you on LinkedIn. I'm going to go get myself a cup of tea now. Carry on networking. Thanks very much." Something along those lines.
Yeah.
Of course, you do realise now you've said that. Every time you go to an event now, people know if they listen to this, they're going to be looking at your cup.
I don't mind. I think that in that situation, it goes back to what we were saying earlier about, when you're nervous going in and you think, oh, everybody knows each other. Everybody's in the same boat. And they're probably thinking, this conversation's flagging a little bit. I probably won't talk too much.
Yeah.
So they'll be pretty grateful if someone makes the move and says, okay, this has been great. Let's move on,
Yeah, agree. And sort of finally, if you were to boil it right down, if you were to take it to its lowest common denominator, what is the reason for you? I think you've actually more or less touched on it. What is the reason for you to go networking? Why do you go networking?
Well, as I say, I think if you were making a list, the number one has to be lead acquisition, referrals. But as I say, you could just spend money on advertising for that if that's all you wanted to do. I think there's more to networking than that. It's about building that. Building that network of trusted advisors. Again, it enables me to give better advice to my clients. It enables me to learn more about my business. So, when I'm talking to you guys, I'm thinking, oh, maybe I should be doing podcasts for my business. And I'm picking up tips from you guys all the time. I talk to an accountant and they're telling me about all the latest tax advice that they're giving. I'm learning all the time. Helps me to run my business, but it helps me to give better advice to my clients as well. So, as I say, making a list, yes, it is about getting business, but it is so much more than that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Bit of a holistic approach.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Excellent.
Oh. Yeah, some great insights there.
I think some good points.
Gareth, thank you very much.
I knew he'd be good. He's a seasoned networker.
Yeah.
I'm seasoned. I'm just salty.
Seasoned. I didn't say old, I said seasoned.
Oh, well, it's been great having you on the show today. Thank you very much, Gareth.
Thank you very much. I've enjoyed it.
And we'll see you soon at one of our events.
Thank you, Gareth. Take care.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
And for those of you tuning in, don't forget to subscribe to our In Business Networking Nuggets, leave us a review and share this podcast with your friends. We love hearing your thoughts and experiences.
Thanks for joining us today. We hope you're feeling a bit more confident and ready to make those meaningful connections at your next networking event. And remember, it's all about being genuine and engaged.
Join us next time as we discuss the art of following up after the events, how to keep the conversation going, how to build lasting relationships and turn those new contacts into valuable connections.
If you wanted to know more about networking, then check out our downloadable networking know-how course. Whether you're new to networking or simply looking to improve your skills, our expert guidance will take you through the process and provide you with practical tips and techniques to help you make those meaningful connections.
Yeah, by the end of the course, you'll feel comfortable and confident reaching out to other people. You'll be comfortable making small talk and creating valuable relationships. You'll learn how to network like a pro and you'll leave the course with a whole new level of confidence, ready to build your professional network and reach your goals. It's broken down into 8 easily digestible sections in which you'll learn
the benefits of networking, why you're networking, how to set goals and objectives, how to introduce yourself, how to start and end a conversation, following up, plus some surprises too. So details will be in the show notes.
Until then, keep networking and building those relationships. And remember, together
we are in business.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.